Hi, I'm Sarah. Y'all, it is Friday, which means we have a new HOH and we need to talk about Big Brother 23 live feed spoilers. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Y'all, I'm a little early today, but I'm also late today, so sorry for both. Sorry for being early and late, but I was just trying to finish up this conversation. Kyland is talking to Hannah, and Hannah is just like doling out the truth left and right. She's basically explaining the whole game of Big Brother to Kyland. But okay, all this is spoilers, right? You guys know the gist on a Friday. The new HOH that happened last night after the double eviction is Kyland. Mixed feelings, you guys. Kyland is HOH. Well, great. Glad I'm early for you, Ben. You can make it to your wedding. Hi, everybody. Well, I wouldn't call the feeds juicy, but they have been intriguing because Kyland is doing his like info gathering thing that he likes to do. And I like to hear the info gathering. And luckily, there's not so many people in the house anymore, so we don't do this for like 24 hours total. But okay, good. Jasmine loves Kyland. So you're happy Kyland won. I was totally fine with Kyland winning. He has positioned himself in a really great spot right between Tiffany and Xavier. He's been working with both of them most of the game. Obviously, we know that. But he's been extra canoodly with Tiffany this past week. And at the same time, extra, info spilling with Xavier this week. He has taken just about everything that Tiffany has said to him and straight passed it to Xavier. And whether you like a rat game or not, for him, it was really great. He positioned himself between these two big players in the game. They are focusing on each other. Kyland can ride that middle, let them battle it out, and then he can just like hop on over to whichever side won, right? Well, apparently, no, that's not the way he's going to go. He is already picking his side. He's not going to let them go after each other. He's going to pick his side right now. And the side that he has chosen is Xavier's. He immediately, before they even played HOH last night, when the feeds came back, he and Xavier were touching base. Kyland was saying, I'm in this. They named their duo the Gentlemen. The two of them are the Gentlemen. They said, watch out, Hitman. Here we come. And he said it's time to take a shot at the girls, specifically Tiffany. I do not think that this is a smart move for his game, but let's talk about it. So, what was I going to talk about first? Wow. I have so many thoughts, you guys. Let me just get back into my notes so that we can get this going. He did a little cam talking last night. He said, okay, this is what I was going to start with. He cried with Big D about winning the HOH. For the past few weeks, Xavier has said not Xavier, Kyland, well, also Xavier, but we're specifically talking about Kyland. Kyland wanted to win this 6th HOH and the 4th. Like, that's the play out that's best for your game. He and Xavier both want that. So he has been saying he's going to win this HOH for weeks. Then apparently in the comp, Big D was like right behind Kyland, or maybe Big D was in the lead, but it was almost going to be Derek's win for once. And Kyland is crying to Big D that he didn't mean to win. And he didn't want to take this away from Big D. He didn't want to take this HOH. He didn't want to take the shot at the women, be the first one of the cookout to even take any shot. And I was like, well, this is a lie. You're lying. So I don't know if I can believe any of this conversation. But then he goes to Cam Talk and he said to us, I really honestly didn't want to win this. I shouldn't have won it. Didn't want to win it. And I'm like, I don't. Is he lying to us? It's hard to say. It is hard to say. But he told us in the camera that he didn't want to win it. He tried to throw it to Big D, that he just was taking a practice shot. I don't fully understand the comp. It had to do with eggs, but it doesn't sound like the chicken wire Passover eggs. It was a different version with eggs. Because he said he took a practice shot and he got it in. Doesn't sound like you're throwing it to me. But anyway, moving off of this subject. He said he doesn't want to take the shot at Tiffany, but he's going to. It's what he has to do. He really wants to sit in the final two next to the strongest player in the game. And he said, and I believe that's Xavier. Then he also threw in that he thinks he has sitting in final two. He thinks it will be close. He might lose to Xavier, but it'll be close. And he feels like he can get Derek X's vote. He can get Claire's vote. He can get Tiffany's vote and Sarah Beth's vote in the end. I disagree with all of this, Kyland. Like I said already, you are perfectly positioned between Xavier and Kyland. Don't target either of them. Let them go after each other. Disarm them, right? Take out Hannah to disarm Tiffany. Take out Big D to disarm Xavier. Make Xavier and Tiffany's options so limited that they have to take you to final two. Because right now, Kyland, what you're doing is not only are you taking out Tiffany for Xavier's biggest challenge to get to the end, Tiffany, taking her out for him, but you're also leaving in Big D and Azah, who are much more loyal to Xavier than they are to you. So you're making this road to the final two even harder on yourself. And I honestly don't think you have all those votes, but that's a whole other story. And that's a whole other video. And we can talk about that another time. But I'm just saying I'm confused by this gameplay from Kyland. But when we woke up this morning and he is doing his longer one-on-ones today with everybody, it sounds like he's still dead set on this. His first meeting this morning was with Xavier, and they were both very open about got to take this shot, got to put Tiffany and Hannah up immediately together. No, ulterior plans or whatever. Put Tiffany and Hannah up immediately together. Xavier mentioned if he won veto, which he feels very confident, it'll be BB Comics for veto, and he feels like he will do very well at that. And he said he's considering taking Hannah off the block to make sure he keeps Hannah on his good side, which I then say, okay, so Kyland, now, not only does he have Azah loyal to him and Big D loyal to him, he's going to now maybe potentially have Hannah super loyal to him. Again, Kyland, real difficult path here to the final two. So that's a possibility that he might pull Hannah down and then Azah would go up on the block. But we'll see. We'll see who wins veto. So that is the plan. He also talked to Azah, promised her he's not putting her up, making her feel safe. his conversation with Tiffany. Okay, let's get into this. This was interesting. Now, we all know that Kylan thinks Xavier's playing the best game, and therefore he wants to sit next to Xavier. If he thought Tiffany was playing the best game, maybe he'd want to sit next to her, I guess, is what we're learning here. And so Tiffany comes into this one-on-one very like low-key, apologetic. She's like, let's talk about, all of the times like we used to work together. We had a final 2, we had the connect, then we had some miscommunications. It was like 40 minutes of a therapy session talking about she's apologizing for being so focused on Sarah Beth. She's apologizing for, after Name That Croon, which is the one he won. She wanted to win it to take out Sarah Beth. He won it. She was so focused on getting Sarah Beth out that she was in her feelings, and she's apologizing for her behavior at that time and any issues that they had between them. She's so sorry about that. And she's saying things like, I need you. I need you in this game. I can't have X in this game. And I might have told X some information about us in our final 2 back when I was mad at you. And he's like, yeah, I already heard about it. And she's like, yeah, sorry. So after 40 minutes of this like therapy, 45, whatever, almost an hour of therapy, they finally get into a little bit of game. And she really starts to talk about like, she's got to get X out of here. She doesn't want to even compete with him. She definitely doesn't want to sit next to him at final 2, and how her and Hannah, want to work with Kylan, want to go to the end with Kylan. And then, and he's like, they're starting to talk game. Then he says, he's like looking at the memory wall. They're talking about jury votes. They're talking about past gameplay, how the jury thinks about things. And he says, I guess it's just me and Hannah. He's like, yeah, Hannah. It's just Hannah and me who can really say we had our people, our plus ones, our people do what we wanted them to do. And you kind of see Tiffany perk up because he's basically saying Tiffany didn't have any control. And she says, okay, well, I think you're discounting that other people had influence. And she didn't say herself, but she just said other people. She's like, I think you're discounting that other people had influence. And there's a little defensiveness to her tone. And then he gets like doubly defensive and angry. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't get mad at me for what you think I said. Respond to what I actually said. And she's like, okay, what was your statement? And he says, I said you, me, and Hannah are the only ones who made our people do it. He added her name in after he got mad that she got mad. And then he rewrote his sentence and told her to not respond to what she thinks he said, but what he actually said. But when he actually said something different. I mean, this is why it's sometimes exhausting to watch these. It was, and Tiffany's just like, okay. And then he gets called to the DR. So this has to end anyway. And he's like, oh, okay. So they end on this really weird note, this like tense note. And she walks out and she's like, I never can say the right thing. And honestly, you can't. There's no right thing to say with him anyway. So that's how that one ends. Then he's in the DR for about 2 hours. He finally comes back out and he talks to Hannah. Now, she enters the room the way you should have entered the room, Tiffany. Tiffany should have entered the room as if they still have their final 2 and say, all right, this is our chance. We got to go after X. Do we put X up first? Blah, 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 blah. Go straight to game. But she didn't. Hannah's like straight to game. She's like, X is my target. That's what I would be doing if I were HOH this week. She says, my pitch to you, if I'm not on the block on Thursday, if you keep me off the block on Thursday, then I will vote whichever way you want me to vote. You have my vote completely. And she said, and then next week, if I win HOH, you will not see the block at all. And if I'm not HOH, but I win veto, I will use the veto on you and pull you down. It is a solid pitch. She also threw in, I am absolutely honest when I say I want to go with you and Tiffany to final 3. That is the final 3 that I want, she's saying. She said, but I know Tiffany is unbeatable. And she kind of explained that Tiffany has the added social game to her gameplay. She was able to give Claire a little bit of a heads up before she went to jury. She's got like icing on Tiffany's cake is basically what she was saying. And so she said, Tiffany is unbeatable in the end. Tiffany wins at final 2, so I will not choose her. If I'm at final 3 with you and Tiffany and I get a choice, she says, I am bringing you. I do not want to sit next to Tiffany. And I was like, yeah, keep going with that, Hannah. Tell him how wonderful Tiffany's game is. She didn't. She does not. He even says, why do you want to play with Tiffany? Why do you want to take Tiffany further? And she sums it up as like loyalty. We've always had each other's back. We've been playing together for a while. And that's all she says. Again, I thought this was a missed opportunity, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know that he needs to think of Tiffany as like this amazing player. Usually in Big Brother, you're trying to downplay someone's game, make them less of a threat. But in Kylan's world, he needs them to be a big threat. So unfortunately, Hannah's not helping Tiffany's game here at this point. But Hannah doesn't know that. So they go through jury votes. They're still talking. Hannah, like I said at the top of this video, Hannah was basically explaining how the game works and how people think in the jury. You know, he's like, why is it that X could sit at the final 2 and win? And she summed up his game, I thought, pretty darn well. She said his social game is so good that he has something with each juror. You know, he's Sarah Beth's his baby mama. Is that what she said? Anyway, she was like, and, you know, so-and-so's sister and brother. And like, she's naming his connection with each person in the jury. And she said, when someone's social game is that good, jurors will convince themselves that person played such a good game just because they want to vote for them. They like them so much. That's their friend. So they will say, yeah, his game was great. She's like, while he spent the whole game throwing comps, sitting back and not even having an opinion so much that he was like, don't look at me. I'm not voting anyone out. I'm not putting someone on the block and targeting them. Don't look at me, which is 100% accurate. Hannah has him clocked completely. That is how he played his game. And people do just love him so much that they're like, yeah, isn't his game great? Let's vote for him to win. She's explaining all this to Kylan. She's explaining Tiffany's connection to the jury. They're going through votes. He did say, what if, because she gave him such a good pitch at the top, right? And he kind of alluded to like, well, but what if I do have to put you up? What if you are on the block, but I do it in a way where I promise you're safe? What would you offer me then? And she's basically like, all right. I mean, if I'm safe, then it's all still valid. I still want to move forward with you and keep you safe. So she should get a sense that she is going up. I'm wondering if she has been able to convince him of anything else or change his mind or help him to see. She did talk about like, if either myself, Hannah, or Tiffany go out this week, you lose a number. And that is accurate, Kyland. Again, you are perfectly positioned in the middle. Why do you want to lose numbers? Tiffany is actually the only one not gunning for him at this point. She will be if she wins veto and gets to stay. So I will be interested to see if Hannah can make any difference in the way that he thinks or the way that he sees how everyone is positioned in the game. But, unfortunately for Kylan's game, I don't think he's seeing it clearly for himself. Now, for Xavier, I absolutely understand why he wants Tiffany out. And Xavier's playing this perfectly. Tiffany needs to go for Xavier's game. And so him pushing Kylan to do it is absolutely what he should do. It's just not for Kylan's game, is what I'm saying. So that is where we are with the feeds as of now. Noms will go down. Probably feeds will go down for the noms in a couple hours if they're on the normal schedule. And as of now, we have to expect that Tiffany and Hannah will see the block. One of them has to win veto to save them. Well, Tiffany has to win veto to save herself. Hannah's not the target. Hannah is the backup target. If Tiffany pulls herself down, Azza will go up and they'll vote out Hannah. If Azza were to somehow win the veto, maybe they could convince her to pull down Tiffany and force someone else up. But I think that Azza would know that Big D would be the one to go up and they would force the other female sitting on the block, Hannah probably, to still go out. So I think that's a really, really small chance that would happen. But is a possibility. So you guys, what else am I missing? What else do we need to talk about here? Yep, Xavier, social skills got him here. And you know what? Everyone values different things in a game. Kylan is sort of depending that comp wins are super valued, and in some seasons they are. I mean, Mickey 2 years ago won solely on his comp skills. He had very little gameplay or strategy to him whatsoever, but because of his comp skills, he won. Some people value that. Some people value a social game, and some people value strategy. Strategy is harder to see. And when you're in the house, a lot is hard to see. You miss a lot, you know? Yes, Gwen. It's true. Little D, Big D, Baby D, Derek X. Not coming back in the house. Anything can change. I think you mean before Thursday. I'm not sure. But odds are we are losing one of the females Anything can happen before Thursday, but odds are very, very high. And if that's going to upset you, I say start preparing now, that more than likely either Tiffany or Hannah are going out this week. I don't see how we're going to get around it. Welcome, Ken. In a nutshell, Kyland is choosing Xavier as the side he's going to ride with, and he is going to target Tiffany this week, and he will put Hannah up next to her to force the hand to make sure that Tiffany goes. Barbara says, if Hannah or Tiffany win veto, will Kai put up Azza? Yep, he will. How do you think Tiffany will affect the jury if she gets voted out? Well, that's another thing that you should think about, is that Tiffany has a ton of influence on these people, especially the non-cookout people. She will have a massive influence on the jury. If Kyland takes her out this week, she might be just so ticked off that she in no way supports him if he gets to the final two. We'll ultimately have to see who gets to the final two. At this point, if this week goes as planned, I think Kyland follows Tiffany out on the double eviction on Thursday. Like I said, this is not the best choice for Kyland's game. So she won't be able to turn the jury against him, because I think he'll be in the jury with her. But yeah, she's going to affect the jury big time. I do believe so. If Azza won, she could take down a woman, and there are 2 women and 1 man voting. Absolutely. That is what they need to try to make happen, if they can make it happen. Yes, Danny. Okay, see, we're all on the same list. If Azza wins veto, which, she hasn't won anything yet, but miracles happen. So if she can win veto, and Hannah and Tiffany can sit down and say, look, the guys are making a play against us. Do not trust the guys. I know they say they love you, but they don't really have your interests in their interests. So you got to save one of us, and then collectively, those 2 votes. Let's see, who else votes? We've got, let's say Tiffany and Azza are voting, and Big D and Hannah are on the block. Kyland's not voting, so Xavier is the only other vote. They run the vote. Am I missing anyone else? That's the only way that things can get exciting. Otherwise, Tiffany's going to go out, or Hannah's going to go out, and then more than likely, Kyland's going to follow. Jasmine saying this jury, that you don't think this jury is bitter. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen anyone be bitter yet. I don't think they're going to be bitter. Sebastian, you think the jury is still clueless about the cookout? I don't think so. I think that once Sarah Beth got into the house, they had all the pieces together. We just haven't had a jury segment, but when Claire enters, they'll basically explain it to Claire and Alyssa, and then they will have it. And then by the time this week rolls around and a cookout member actually walks into jury, the non-cookout members are going to be like, so tell us about this alliance. They've got it. They've got all the pieces in the jury. Joseph says, I see the pre-cookout members not being bitter. I see cookout members being bitter, especially if Tiffany or Hannah go this week. I know there is a double, but the house doesn't. I don't know what else you're saying, Joseph, but I agree. If anyone's going to be bitter, it's probably going to be cookout members. Absolutely. The cookout members are messy. They are fun. They have been chomping at the bit to go after each other, and here we are. We get to watch it unfold. It's so exciting, and they are going to be so mad when they get to jury. I love it. Ashley's asking who goes between Hannah and Azah. Hannah will go. Hannah is the backup target if they cannot get Tiffany out. And that makes sense to me too. Like, Kyland should be getting out either Hannah, Azah, or Big D. You take out one of the soldiers, one of the supporters of the two big players. That's where you should be going. So if Kyland can't get Tiffany out, he will take Hannah out. And if Kyland weren't the one doing this, if someone else was targeting Tiffany and Hannah, like let's say Big D had one and he did this, then Tiffany saving herself and Hannah going, Tiffany turns 100% to Kyland. She's already turned to Kyland, but she still has Hannah. You take Hannah out, she is 100% loyal to Kyland and only Kyland. That's great for Kyland's game. But that's not what's happening. Ken's bringing up Alyssa. I assume you're talking about Bitter. She could be. We don't know how Alyssa's going to handle this because she doesn't have a clue. Claire has an inkling that something maybe, but Alyssa doesn't have a clue. So if she walks into the jury house and they're like, no, there is an alliance. They're all in it together. And she finds out that Xavier's been lying to her this whole time. I don't know. I don't know, Alyssa, if she'll be bitter or not. That's a question mark. Any clue on how the 2-hour Thursday show will work since doubles normally take an hour? Yeah. Oh, good. Hannah finally left and Big D is now talking to Kyland. Well, that's nothing will come out of that because they're already on the same page. The 2-hour episode, I think that they're going to throw in a lot of fluff. I mean, it'd be nice if they gave like a historic segment to the cookout, did like a montage of all the wonderful things the cookout did. Something like that. I think they're just going to pad it because they just happen to have a 2-hour slot. CBS gave them a 2-hour slot. So they're going to do a double, but they're going to pad it with some other stuff. I was kind of hoping that they would do it like a fake double, like Canada, where we do a double and then those two people battle and one of them comes back. But numbers wise, it doesn't really add up that they would do that. And they haven't promoted it as any sort of weird fake double or any other twist happening. So I think we're just going to have a double with padding. Yeah. Robin is asking, do I consider this the best alliance that Big Brother has ever had? I mean, it's definitely up there. It's definitely one of the best. They have killed it. They are the only 6 alliance to make it to final 6. I mean, last year the committee were they 7 or 8 people? How many people were in the committee? I think it was 8, right? 8 people, and they made it 7 of the 8 made it to 8, right? They took Danny out 1 early. It's hard to say the best. I don't ever like to say anything is the best. There's not one best winner or one best player or one best alliance, but the cookout is so entertaining. Really played, like they outplayed everybody. They straight outplayed their plus ones and the rest of the house. Like, I hope that everyone is giving them the credit that they deserve because they played circles around these people. Final 2, Kyland and Xavier. Let's say Kyland and Xavier make it to final 2 together. Who wins? Xavier. I don't even think it's going to be close. Xavier's social game is miles above Kylan's social game. And I know that some seasons really focus on comp wins. And so far, Kylan is winning in that area. But Xavier can easily catch up and be leading by the end. But I don't feel like this jury is going to emphasize comp wins as much. This is a fairly strategic jury. They're all fairly like smart, mentally thinky type people. And I think that they have been annoyed at Kylan and in love with Xavier for most of these weeks. So maybe Kylan gets Sarah Beth's vote. I'm not sure that he gets much more than that sitting next to Xavier. But a lot can happen in the next couple weeks. I love this thought, Barbara, because we've seen this with Raven. Remember, Raven sat in the jury and they were like, Paul had like final twos with everyone. And she was like, no, Paul and I were running the show. Like Paul and I masterminded everything. And they were like, do you not hear what we're saying? I wonder. I just don't know how Alyssa's going to react. If Alyssa's sitting in the jury and they're like, yeah, there was this large alliance. And she was like, yeah, but Xavier and I, we did all of this. And then Hannah and we did all of this. And they're like, no, Xavier and Hannah are in this alliance. She's going to be like, I'm not seeing what you're saying. Hi, Kelly. Starting from the beginning. And honestly, I think X over Tiff isn't great for his game unless he truly believes he can beat X at the end. Well, here's what's interesting about Kylan. Kylan said he wants to be the Cody to the Derek, and he thinks X is the Derek because he wants to come back and play again. I don't understand how you've put in, 9-10 weeks? What are we at here of this game? And you're in top 6 and you could maneuver yourself to win this game, but you'd rather just take second place and start the game over again? That doesn't add up. But again, I've already made it clear. I don't think he should go after X over Tiff or Tiff over X. I think he should keep both in, let them go after each other, and then ride with whoever wins. That's how I think. That's what I think. Oh, yeah. We should get some jury house segments. That's true. Good. I love that. Yeah, maybe some family videos we could throw in there. I would love it, Maureen. A fake triple and then 2 people end up leaving. Mathematically, that would be better. That would be fun if they did a triple eviction battle back. 1 person gets to enter. It'd be fun to see, but that would be a jam-packed 2 hours. And I don't know that my heart could handle it, to be honest. Ashley says you're rooting for a Tiffany Xavier final 2. Yes, that would be a great final 2. I think an Xavier Tiffany final 2 could be really, really close because you got 1 very strategic person and 1 great social game. That would be a fun, close vote. Agreed. Sebastian says, are you concerned about how this cookout alliance will affect the game next season? New players will be alert if a group outnumbers the rest. I don't, the last, like, modern Big Brother has had a majority alliance. So that's already changed Big Brother, and that already makes every season try to make a majority alliance and also keep an eye out for a majority alliance. So I don't think the cookout has an effect on that. I do think that because the cookout implemented their +1 system so well, I do think we'll see that more moving forward. People will try to mimic that gameplay, and I don't see anyone doing it this well, at least not right away, right? Like, I think it'll take a few seasons to sort of balance that mindset out. So yeah, but I think people will think about it next season, and then they'll be worried about it and looking and being like, but we're close, but are you really aligned with other people instead? Which is just great, more paranoia. So I'm all for it. That's fine. Let's talk about if anyone comes back from this season. Tiffany easily could come back if she is taken out here at 6th place. I think people would love to see her. I don't think she'll get to play this well again, though, unfortunately, because people will get her and understand her. Claire would be a good person to bring back on a season where she could sort of start over. I would prefer to see Claire on Survivor, though, personally. I think she should play Survivor. It's not what he means. It's just what he says. I don't know what you're referring to in the chat, but I know that you mean what Kylan said on the feeds today. Don't respond to what you think I said. Respond to what I actually said, which is not what I actually said. Because I rewrote what I actually said when I repeated it the second time. Danny hopes to get on Big Brother someday, so you can talk about me on there, and I'd make sure to say more than some girl named Sarah. Love this channel. Thank you, Danny. That's right. If anyone doesn't know, Nicole Franzel is the only person who has mentioned me on the feeds, and she called me some girl named Sarah, which I adore. I'll take it. I love being some girl named Sarah. But yes, I can't wait till someone from the Nerdtainment community goes on Big Brother. You know I will support you. When you get on, I will love it. It will be so much fun. Oh boy, Sebastian, you think the final two will be Azah and Big D? I mean, if that happens, we're all going to be like, how did we get here? And who wins between Azah and Big D? My vote would go to Azah. I mean, if they're both sitting in the final two, that means one of them won the last HOH. And so maybe my vote goes to whoever that was that won that last HOH. That's hilarious, Sebastian. You put me on Celebrity Big Brother. That's funny. But to that point, we got Celebrity Big Brother coming back in February, you guys. Yes. Thank you, Donette. Thank you. Jordan, are you coming up with scenarios here? Let's see. Hannah wins, Vito takes down Tiffany. Kylan puts up Big D and Big D. But Hannah's on the block next to Tiffany. So how does that work? Hannah's sitting next to Tiffany. If Hannah wins veto and takes Tiffany down, knowing that Tiffany's the target, then Ozza still goes up and then Hannah goes home. So I don't think that's going to happen. Robin is asking, have I started watching The Circle yet? Yes, ma'am. And I've already put up my first recap. Episodes 1 and 2, I streamed yesterday with Chantel. So that schedule is the first 2 episodes of every week will be on Thursdays with Chantel at 3 p.m. Pacific. And then episodes 3 and 4 of each week will be Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific with Josh. Absolutely. I love The Circle. The Circle is the one that I want to go on and play. Very excited that we got a season 3 already in the same year as season 2. Very excited. So join me for those recaps. Gonna be fun. No, we haven't had any names yet for Celebrity Big Brother, and we probably won't until January, really. I mean, I doubt we'll get any before the end of the year, but we might. Yes, Jordan. So if Ozza wins veto, yeah, we talked about that a little bit. If Tiffany and Hannah are on the block and Ozza wins veto, first thing, Ozza has to win veto. Second thing is Tiffany and Hannah have to sit Ozza down and say, girl, you need us. Like, that's going to take a lot of work to convince Ozza to make this move. But then if Ozza can make the move and take Tiffany off the block, they can control that vote and send out Big D. But it'll probably be Big D, and that Ozza's not going to be willing to send out Big D, y'all. That's the problem. He won't put Xavier up. I guess, so what they'd have to do, this would be so much work. Tiffany and Hannah have to then convince Ozza to do this. And then as a group with Ozza, they have to convince Kylan, hey, we're going to do this. This is the time to strike against Xavier. And I just don't see Ozza doing either of those. Oof. Girl, you in danger to all the girls just across the board. Barbara, thank you. Yeah, the slippery comp. Ashley's asking if I think the slippery comp will happen. I'm starting to feel like it's too late. We already know that the veto will be BB Comics. So I don't know if we're going to get the slippery. I don't know that we are. I think we might have passed that. Jasmine says Hannah's the most cutthroat. Yeah, and I wish she had gotten that edit. Like, Hannah could have been like a delicious little villain. She's not like a villain, but she's very cutthroat. She's savage, and I wish she had gotten that edit. They really wanted her to be in a showmance with Derek X, so they were like, let's make her the cutesy girl. And I was like, she's literally stabbing Derek X in the back. Like, show me that. It's much more fun. That's right. Kylan would rub Oz's arm, talk her out of it. He'd rub Big D's arm and say, hey, they're trying to come up with something. Make sure Ozza doesn't do it. The touch, the feel of Kylan. The fabric of Big Brother, season 23. That's Kylan's theme song. That's an interesting point, EF. Honestly, Ozza should get Big D out so that people pick her over him. Because technically they are the two that you drag to the end to make sure that you win. But she is 100% loyal to Big D over anybody else. And that's just how Ozza plays. So it's not going to happen. My sweet, sweet Ozza. Just should have gone on Love Island. Didn't work out for her in Big Brother. I love that she's a fan of the game. I love that she's an honest Sagittarius. I love that she's petty. She's super entertaining. I love her songs. But her gameplay has not held up. Turns out, not her game. Yes, Joseph, Hamster Watch has posted that Sunday show will be at 8:30. That's right, due to football. Oh, did the show say it was 8 p.m.? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, this Sunday it is at 8:30. And then next Sunday, there's no show at all. It's actually on Friday instead. So we have the 2-hour on Thursday, double plus fluff, I'm guessing. And then Friday is an extra episode, but no Sunday episode. That is the upcoming schedule. You know, Big D said she was his best friend, and that meant so much to her. And she's so happy to have a best friend in Big D. And that's what it took. And she will be loyal to him till to the day her Big Brother jury vote is over. She'll vote for him no matter what. If he's in final 2, he will get her vote. Oh no! Gonna miss the finale, or maybe it'll air in Puerto Rico. I don't know Puerto Rico's schedule. Yes, let's bring up Survivor. We got Survivor coming up. Premieres on the 22nd. That's just 2 weeks from now. Very excited. I have got to plan how I'm going to do a cast assessment. So far, I've only posted my first impressions. I need to do a cast assessment, and I also need to do the draft, you guys. Got to plan those, but definitely David and I will be here every Wednesday after a Survivor episode to recap those, except for the Wednesday, the 29th, because that is the Big Brother finale. So that is more important. That night, we will do the Survivor recap on Thursday. That's my upcoming schedule. We already talked Circle. Tomorrow is the second to the last episode of Survivor South Africa. We're almost there, you guys. So join me and Chantel tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. I went early today because it is my 14th anniversary with my husband. We are heading off for a date. So I am going to wrap it up with you guys now. I love you guys. Y'all are the best community on the internet. I appreciate you joining me live, hanging out with me, reminding me of things and giving me your opinions. I love it. And if you are joining later, leave me a comment. How do you feel about this new HOH, Kyland? How do you feel about his plan to target Tiffany? Is there any way that Tiffany can save herself, or is this it? Are we about to say goodbye to the greatest player of Big Brother 23? It happens. Not all the greats win their season. So we will see. Make sure you are subscribed so that you can join me the next time I'm live. Content every day. We got new shows coming up. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the congrats and the happy anniversaries in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, smash that like on your way out. And I'll see you next time.